Hi guys, welcome back to Wargaming China, my free channel where I platform my understandings of the war of resistance against Japanese aggression in China from 1931 to 1945. And I do this for wargamers, toy soldier enthusiasts, modelers, anybody who likes toy soldiers and a bit of history, obscure history. Now today we're back at Deshengkou. Now it's turn 5 of this game and there's a huge plane going overhead, so I'll just speak up. It's Friday night, I've been working all week. Friday afternoon, I've been working all week. I'm going to try and finish this game tonight, do a quick video. Look guys, I never know when I'm going to do a video. I have no production schedule. I just do them when I have a chance. I've got 146 subscribers now. Wow guys, thanks very much for subscribing. I'll try to keep it up. So it's turn 5, we're back at Deshengkou. Now straight away you might say, Adam, you're saying it different to what you said last week. And that's right, last week I was saying Deshengkou or Deshengkou because the Chinese gathered forces here all spoke various regional dialects of Han Chinese. And so when they wrote down their memoirs or their reports and they were translated into English, translating a language of characters into a language of letters was not always translated very well. And in various accounts, the towns and names of places vary. So I decided to go with Wei Wu's Deshengkou campaign and interpreted booklet for World War II military history museums. Now, you must think I've got a lot to thank Mr. Wei Wu for, because he drew a lot of things to my attention that made me aware that I had to elaborate a lot more in my second video. So if we look at this campaign, the Deshengkou campaign, the Chinese mass about 60,000 troops and the Japanese about 70,000 troops. I already discussed where they drew their forces from in my last video. By the end of the battle, according to Chinese historians, it's from August 8th to August 26th, so 18 days of intense combat, at the end of which the Chinese lost 30,000 troops and Japanese losses are estimated about 15,000. The campaign ended with the retreat of the Chinese army, and although in this game I was looking at the 13th Army of the 89th and the 4th National Revolutionary Army Germanized divisions. I want to spare a thought and a little bit of time to discuss the situation of the 17th Army. Now the 17th Army of the 21st, the 84th and the 72nd Division held the front from Baiyangcheng westward. Now, they were not as well equipped as the 13th Army, and the Japanese were attacking in the same strength. But the Deshengkou campaign in that sector, for me, was not appealing as a wargamer, because the fighting there will see, as I said in my last video, supplies are desperately short, the road systems are horrific. The Japanese are press ganging Chinese civilians into road building, and because of the lack of supplies, they're basically working their civilians to death. That still does not help in the supply situation, especially west past Baiyangcheng. Now, the Japanese do push into the mountains, and what develops is what can only be described as horrific warfare. Now, although the 13th Army Group have access to their railway line can get some supplies in spite of Japanese interdiction. The soldiers of the 17th Army have to get their supplies sent up on the backs of porters through the valleys and mountains way beyond the railheads. So their supply situation from the very beginning is desperate. Fortunately for them, the Japanese army is in not much better state. And indeed, we see by the mid-campaign, by the 19th of August, both sides along that front are down to using rocks. Yes, the Japanese army even are using rocks. That's in their own reports, they're down to rocks. The Chinese are down to rocks. So it's bayonets, swords, and rocks on that front. And it's so stagnated and the fighting is so horrific that this is perhaps why the Japanese High Command decide to use chemical and biological warfare there, because it's very local. It can be a very localized strike in the valleys, and these valleys and pathways, they're very narrow, and perhaps this is also why their effectiveness. I mean, they are effective of the unfortunate Chinese troops that receive them, but these strikes are localized, and they seem to, if anything, enrage the Chinese defenders, and stiffen their resistance even more. So, after 18 days of combat, the Chinese had been forced. The Chinese army had started to build with their backs to the wrong side of the Great Wall. They couldn't retreat and use the Great Wall because it faced the wrong way. So they had their backs to the Great Wall. And the last stand of these campaigns were at Shuito and Badalin. And the armies had retreated to those objectives and along the Zhuyongguan Pass. Now, so that was me sparing a thought for the 17th Army. Now, it might be a campaign that could be doable at 28mm, but the room, because of the advantage on some points on that campaign was only at platoon level, on a platoon front. So it could be done very well in 28mm, but the elephant in the room, as always with this war, is chemical and biological warfare. And myself as a war gamer, I think that's distasteful to bring into a war game. There are some games that I will approach with a different angle for that in the future, but for now, I just want to get back to Deshengkou. Now, Deshengkou, apart from being, and the Nankou campaign itself, apart from being the first use of Japan, the first use by Japan of chemical weapons, also marked the first use of suicide tactics, deliberate suicide tactics, by National Revolutionary Army formations. So not by warlords or warlord troops or dare to die troops. This fighting here at Deshengkou, many armored vehicles and tanks along the whole of the Nankou campaign will be knocked out by the Chinese troops using suicide tactics. Another first in this campaign will be the Chinese troops' use of bundle grenades to destroy tanks and armored vehicles. And in this campaign also, the Japanese did use quite a lot of lorried infantry. How effective it was, considering how the roads were so bad, I don't know. But they were certainly using it, and it's certainly written down as that it was part of the attack on Deshengkou. What else have I found out since the last episode? Okay, I've read further, and I've defended the town with a regiment. I should only be defending it with 2 battalions, the regimental HQ, and the cavalry company, squadron of cavalry. I don't know. So I've over defended, but I'm on turn 5 now. It's Chinese turn 5. Also, with the varying reports I got, in the last game I said it was the 11th Brigade of 2 regiments. It's also in sort of written down in another source that says the 11th Mixed Brigade, so there could be 4 battalions plus the artillery and other supporting assets. So these are always things that, you know, because I don't do a game and I think, oh, that's it, I know everything. Even when I'm playing it, I'm still reading and, you know, studying more. So as the game goes, so what, we're on turn 5. The Japanese have come up the road, or the ox track. They're as a solo player, you have to try and bring in the element of surprise. Now the Chinese use mines in this game, but it's a bit ridiculous for a solo player to, you know, mark out minefields because you know where they are anyway. So I relied on the dice for that. Any vehicle that left the road had to roll a d6, and on odds it hit a mine, and then 1 inch all the way around it was a minefield, and if it passed that, no other die rolls for mines. And so far that one mine and a 37mm tank gun took out the lead Japanese tanks, and the plan was for those to advance, hit the gate 3 times with shells, and that would blast the gate down, but that's not going to happen now. The next plan was for trucks to drive up to the walls, and infantry debarse and climb over, climb over the vehicle and over the walls, use the vehicles to climb over the walls. And the third one, which we're still going to see if it works, is explosive truck driven straight at the gate. Or legitimate tactics used by the Japanese armies to get into the small walled towns of China. Now, I've talked about, what else do I need to talk about today? Let's check my notes. This is, yep. That's about it. So I'm on turn 5. I'm going to be using grenade bundles and suicide tactics against the Japanese armour if they break into the town, but it might not happen. There you go. Got a Deshengkou in 20mm. Happy wargaming. See ya.